Hey everyone, how you doing today? Yes, we got Anna Kelly back for episode number 2. How you doing, Anna?
I'm great. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Hey, one of the things I know you and I have a special place in our heart for, and we're really spending time trying to get it done, is helping the next generation, whether it be our kids or folks in that age group, frankly, think about money, think about being wealthy. And you put out a Facebook post the other day, because I'm one of your friends, with a picture of two of your children sitting on the couch, attentively taking notes. So I thought I wanted to talk about that, congratulate you, figure out what you did to make that happen. And let's help other parents, other uncles, aunts, grandmas, grandparents encourage the next generation to think about wealth and money and things like that.
Oh, thank you. I absolutely love this topic because, when I was growing up, I really didn't have anybody in my network who understood how to master money. And as a result, money mastered them, right? So people living above their means, living check to check, never able to budget, not knowing how they could even think about expanding their means, just get a good degree, go get a good job, work till you're 65, save a little money in your 401k. And when you're 65, you can retire, right? It's the American dream. It's what we were taught. It's what they were taught. It's what their parents were taught.
Yeah.
I learned the hard way and over many years that I couldn't rely on entrepreneurship, for me anyway. I couldn't rely on my corporate career, even though I worked for one of the largest companies in the world that almost went under. And I had to take my financial freedom, my financial prosperity, the cash that I made, my income into my own hands, and that I was able to do it through cash flowing real estate. So it's so important for me not to just hand my kids money today or hand them an inheritance tomorrow that they have absolutely no idea how to handle because they've never been taught to manage their own money, right? So it's important to me to spend time pouring into my own kids, making sure that they are not spoiled little rich kids, right? That just take money and use people and buy things because I want them to get it, right? For me, wealth and money, it's not about excess. It's not about having all the luxuries in the world. It's about creating enough that I have the time freedom to live my life by design, to live my life so that I can serve the purpose that God has made me to serve, to be able to coach students, to be able to do bigger deals and help investors, to be able to give back to missions that are important to us. That's what it's really about. So it's important that kids understand they need to create more money and wealth so they can live the lifestyle they deserve, but that chasing the money for the sake of money is never going to bring happiness. It can get you into a lot of debt and a lot of trouble if you take on too much risk just for the shiny gold object and the number. And really just learn how to understand money, how to master money and use it to create the lifestyle that they want to, and also to become good people in the process.
Yeah, this is an important topic. This is, some things I've come to realize as you try to help more people, you get invited to talk to high school students and things of that nature. There's a few things. First, one of my strongest memories of my father. I've talked about my mom a lot on this channel, but not my father that often. I remember when I was 13 or 14, so I had my first job, right? I was making like $3.15 an hour being at a restaurant. As I talked to my dad about his job, and he made a lot. He made more money than I did, and it felt like a lot, but in reality, it was nothing. But I asked him how long he would do it, right? Because I was already thinking about, how long do you have to do this? And he's like, son, I'm going to work till the day I die. And I still remember thinking, that's cool. You're going to work hard. You're going to work. You're going to take care of your family. You're going to die at work. I remember thinking stupidly that was admirable, right? As a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid. Now I look at that going, that is sad. And he believed it. And for all intents and purposes, it will probably happen. But that's because of decisions he's made financially. He's chosen to live as a consumer and not an investor. He takes every excess dollar and buys the next widget. When computers were coming around in the 80s, Fry's Electronics was like his Toys R Us. He was just spending. And I admired that. And that's what I was taking. And that just can't happen. We have to stop that mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just changing the mindset to, instead of thinking, how can I go to work to make more money so that I can enjoy these things on occasion, either when I retire or once a year on a family vacation. And so the rest of your life and the rest of your job, you're working more hours, truly slaving your time away in exchange for the dollars that you need in order to go get those things that you think are going to buy happiness, right? Instead of having the mindset of, how can I create the lifestyle that I want, not do so in a way that I have to trade my time for those dollars, but create something that brings the dollars in, whether I work more hours or not, right? That's the power of the passive real estate. So for me, teaching my kids about money and real estate isn't just to say, make more money and then you'll have more things.
Yeah.
It's live what you're passionate about, be who God wants you to be, do what you love without regard to, I'm doing this because I think I'm going to make more money if I get this degree or I get that job. It's let's build that passive income that buys you enough to meet your general expenses, your basic living expenses. Live below your means or at your means at first while you work to expand your means. And then once you have enough cash flow coming in to cover your basic needs, you're essentially retired, or you go to work doing what you love, but you're not a slave to your job. You can work 40 hours a week doing what you love and then spend your evenings with your family and traveling and taking those trips that you want to without going in debt to do it, in debt with your money and in debt to your job for more time to get more money.
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to mention there. I just read an article, I think it was Yahoo Finance was the source for this one, but they said 53% of millennials say their college degree, i.e. student debt, wasn't worth it. Right.
Yes.
And that's kind of looking backwards. That's looking at the rear view mirror. I mean, I wish we would give more thoughts to high school juniors and seniors to sort of talk about it, right? Like, oh, by the way, yes, I know you want to go to, so-and-so school. Did you know that you're likely to come out with 40 to 60 to 80K in debt? And that will be, oh, by the way, a $689 payment on top of rent that you'll want to do. And all, I mean, I wish we would look out the window and not the rear view mirror. That's something. And I think you were kind of accomplishing that with the picture I saw on the couch, because I don't believe either of them are in college just yet.
No, they're not. And that's exactly the point, right? Is that they're hearing from their mom. They know that I coach. They hear me talk on podcasts and they hear me talk about get real estate, create passive income, live the life you want. They hear me say it all the time. I try to get them to read books and it takes them a year to read it. Mom, I'm not going to do real estate. I hate real estate, because all they're thinking about is all the blood, sweat, and tears we put into it initially and the years that they lived, on dirty carpet till 2 a.m. while we got apartments ready, right? They did see, though, in the last 2 years, how it all paid off, it all worked off. And now we truly are living the financial freedom because of what we did in the beginning. Yeah. So it's like they know it, but they're still teenagers that want to spend their time out playing soccer with their friends and, going with their friends and playing video games, not listening to apartment education and financial education. So I don't want it to sound like, oh, my kids have it all figured out. We've got a plan. They're still teenagers and they still push back, right? But I said to them, especially as my oldest is getting ready to go to college, we're figuring out what degree does he want. And here's a typical American kid who is 17 that says, I don't know what I want to do the rest of my life. I don't feel like I've always known my whole life I want to be a doctor, or I've known my whole life I want to be a teacher or a vet. If your kid knows what they have wanted their entire life, by all means, send them to college to get a degree for that if that's what they really feel they're passionate about. Add real estate to it so they have passive income, right? Just what we talked about. But my kiddos right now, they don't know. Like most kids at 15 or 17 don't have it figured out what they think they want to do because they have no life experience, right? Most adults that I talk to still are like, I don't like what I do. I had a degree. I had 6-figure debts. It took me 20 years to pay off. I hate my job. What do I want to do next? Right? So we put all this pressure on kids and teenagers to decide. And his first thing was, Mom, okay, I don't really love real estate, but if you can teach me to use my mind to do big deals like you do, instead of having to work with my hands on them, I want to do real estate because I know it will buy me financial freedom. But that means I don't need to go to college. And I'm like, we
Yeah.
don't want to totally rule out college because we don't know what's going to happen. And do I think real estate's going to continue to be the greatest wealth builder, wealth sustainer of everything in our country? Yes, I do. But it's still good to have a degree to fall back on, right? Instead of get the degree in real estate can be your fallback plan. Like I'm saying real estate can be your primary, but get a degree so that you can learn something that will help you in real estate. So we wanted to find this balance of don't not go to college, because he's like, Mom, you can teach me to be a millionaire before I even get out of college. So why do I need to go? Well, he has some truth in that, right?
Yeah,
and I appreciate that he's learned that. But he also has some social development to learn. Mm-hmm. It's good to be around other people, to be forced to learn from other people. And you do get some ideas of finances and things like that. So I said, let's get a finance degree or a business management or entrepreneurial degree, something that'll teach you, how do I manage businesses? How do I look at a profit and loss statement, right? Yeah. How do I handle my accounting? Because the reality is my kids eventually will inherit something and they better know how to handle the money side, right? True. So we said, let's go get a degree. But here's the thing. If my children want to go to an expensive school, an expensive college, now to me, when I got out of school, and I don't know, because my parents, as hard as they worked, blue collar parents, my dad was in construction, my stepmom was a teacher, and they paid for me to go to college. And I'm forever grateful. I probably didn't appreciate it as much then, but I don't think my college costs were significant. I went to a local college in Houston. Now, just a state school's $25,000 a year plus room and board. So most kids are coming out, even in a state school, with $100,000 education for 4 years. 2 years isn't going to teach them much beyond English, math, and history that they've already learned in, primary school. So they get 2 years of something specialized. So I said, okay, to my son, Dane, I can either pay $100,000 for you to go to college at a state school, or I can pay $40,000 for a 4-year education at a good Christian college in Florida, who takes all of the money they make from books and curriculum at the primary level to use to subsidize their college costs and keep tuition low. I'm like, if I can pay $40,000 for you to go to a very well-accredited school that will teach you something about business and management and finance that'll help you in my business, that's $60,000 I would have put into a 4-year education at a state school. How about I give you that as a down payment on your first rental property?
I love simple.
So like if I'm going to spend $100,000, number one, I'm blessed. And I realize I'm very blessed to be able to pay for that school. But you know how I'm able to do it? Because the second building I bought, 4-unit apartment building in 2009, as the economy was crashing, I pulled the down payment from my 401k. I put it down on that building and I said, this will be my son's college tuition. And in 10 years, I sold the building and I made $110,000.
There you go.
In addition to the cash flow. And that's paying for my son's college and his down payment on his first multi-unit apartment building. So when you talk to your kids, I said, how would you like to come out of school with $100,000 in debt? The average student comes out with $40,000 in debt right now because their parents pay some and they work it, and it takes them 20 years to pay it off. So do you want that option? I gave them the options. Let's talk about that option. You go to the state school. I'll pay the 40 I would pay at the private school, at the private Christian school, and you pay the extra 60 and you can take 30 years to pay it off. Or you go to this school, I give you the down payment, or you don't go to college. If you don't go to college, you're going to work for $8 to $10 an hour. So you're going to work 40 hours a week to make about $2,000 a month. We did it on paper. I don't remember the exact number, but pretty close. And your living expenses are probably going to be $25. Yeah. So that means you're going to work more than 40 hours a week for $2,500 a month for a basic apartment. Yeah. And you won't have any money to take a girl on a date. You won't have any money to really go out to eat. And you're going to be right in that hamster wheel with everybody else. Or you go to college, you come out with that school debt, and you've got this extra $700 a month payment. And then you start off school making $30,000 or $40,000 a year. Maybe 50, 70, 80. I don't know. It just depends on what they do. But it's still going to be a huge payment, like a mortgage payment, on top of what they're already doing. Or I give you the last option, go to the private school. Let me gift you the down payment in lieu of a different school's tuition. You come out of school making about $2,000 to $2,500 a month before you step foot in a job. And if you move out on your own and your living expenses are 25, guess what you are? Financially free.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean he doesn't go get a job. It means go get a job doing what you love, but your living expenses are paid for. So you don't have to worry about, I got to do this on top of working 40 hours a week somewhere, because that money is already coming in. Yep. So that is like what I'm trying to teach the kids. Let them make their own decisions and see who they're supposed to be and what they want to do. If they decide to do real estate full-time, amazing. If they decide they want to work at waste management, amazing. If they decide they want to be a school teacher, amazing. As long as they're living their dream and living their passions without regard to the money, because they get it and they get how to get that cash flow coming in, I've done my job, right?
Yeah, without question, you've done your job. And really what I saw you do, and I think that was in a previous post, you actually showed the paper in your post. This is kind of like the 3 scenarios for your son. And he's like, okay, I'll take the last one. I'm like, smart. That's the one I would have taken too.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
And I'm so proud and thankful because, it's hard. I mean, kids have to find their own way. And when I was a teenager, I didn't want to listen to my parents. I thought they didn't know anything. And I'm sure he thinks, he's here now, he thinks that I probably don't know much, but at least he gets that because he's seen us create this financial freedom and he's seen the fruit of the years of reward. He knows he can take that ball and run with it, and it'll be easier for him than it was for me if he at least listens to that guidance. But it's important as parents to realize your kids will not listen to you as well as they will listen to someone else. Yeah. So I gave him your book, One Riddle at a Time. He finally finished reading it. Took him forever, but he finally finished reading it. And he knows we want to put him on the show, right? At some point. That'd be great. I have my daughter. She is a freshman in high school, so she's not quite 15. She's reading your book.
Oh, wow.
I had him read Rich Dad, Poor Dad for teens. And he's like, Mom, I already know all this stuff because I taught him, right? So now he's reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. My daughter's reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad for teens. And my son reached out to another investor who's, a very good man, honorable, strong character, and does very, very well in self-storage facilities, and reached out to him and said, hey, I'd love to intern with you, or can you teach me and give me some ideas and tips? And so steering your kids to other resources that are not you, who are reinforcing the same thing, is super important, because that's where they're really going to listen and start to click that all of these people who've created this lifestyle that they imagine through passive income really are going against the grain. And it's not because they're crazy. Their craziness, they're going against the American dream, is what's made them unique and what gives them joy, because they are living their life by design.
Yeah, that is wonderful. I think that's where we're going to leave this one. Congratulations. And that day had to feel pretty good, I imagine, when you took that picture.
It did. And I'll say one last thing about that. So there was a course that came out, and it's through a college empowerment group called Wealthy Grad. And so Wealthy Grad, they do a 4-week course. Right now it's on Wednesday nights, and they're teaching kids to have a wealthy grad mindset, a wealthy mind that thinks differently about wealth, wealthy time, being able to control their own time, wealthy relationships, and financial wealth as well. I think there was one other component, but they're talking to them about the mindset enforced by Robert Kiyosaki. And they said over 4,900 college universities, only 10 have financial literacy programs, 10 out of 4,900. So that tells you almost nobody is learning about financial literacy in college. It's up to us as their parents, as their mentors, as their guides, to teach them. So I signed them up for that 4-week course. They listened intently, and I think they got it. And that is a win,
Yeah,
so I encourage you, if you're a parent, look for resources like that, because no one else is going to teach your kid. You're not going to send them to college and they're going to get it. You're going to have to pour into them. And that's, putting them in contact with other people like you. Robert Kiyosaki's book, these types of tools are just going to reinforce what you're trying to teach them.
Wealthy Grad. Look it up. I will try to find the URL and put it in the show notes. I'm a fan of that. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Michael.